Hello everyone, and welcome to our Q&A response video. Let's waste no more time and get right to the questions. Who are your favorite Thomas characters? My favorite Thomas characters are Oliver, Toad, James, Edward, and Arthur. Any other favorite shows you enjoy watching besides Thomas? I enjoy watching Murder, She Wrote, Monk, The Andy Griffith Show, Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Gilligan's Island, older shows. Favorite steam locomotive class? A3 Pacific. What inspired you to make the Fat Controller's engines? Watching other people's series, such as Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry's 3's Engines of Sodor series, and Train King James's Sodor New Era. Those two series really inspired me to make my own. Favorite hit era newbie? Probably Hank or Dennis. Will you be accepting more voice actors in the future? I've thought about accepting more actors in the future. I just don't really know, since most of my actors are family or extremely close friends that are committed to voice act till the end. I mainly, when it comes to actors, want them to voice their characters to the end of the series, just because once they voice the character, it's their voice that people are gonna be expecting whenever the character comes on screen. Such as Enterprising Engines series. In some of his earlier seasons, the actor for Hank didn't always appear in some episodes, just randomly, and that always kind of threw me off because I was always looking forward to the actor that we most nobly know as Hank from Snowblind, the actor from Snowblind. I feel like that actor's kind of the voice for Hank, and so hearing someone else do it kind of threw me off a bit. So the idea of having more actors, I would be accepting maybe more actors, just it'd have to be people who are willing to commit for a long time, since I don't really want to throw anyone off when it comes to the voices that they expect from the characters, and mainly just wanting to respect the actor for voicing that character to begin with. I don't really want to replace someone once they already get a role, if that makes sense. How do you do those big shots with several engines moving at once? Having siblings for a start helps. Mainly I just have my siblings pull the strings of the different engines at once, and I just hold the camera and we just film from there. Mainly it just takes a lot of people to orchestrate big moving shots. How long does it usually take you to make a set? Depending on the set, it can take up to 4 hours, such as Barrow, Knapford, Tin the Sheds. Those sets took 4 hours to 6 to build, but smaller sets such as Wellsworth Castle, the church, took less than an hour to put together. What is your favorite RWS book and your least favorite? My favorite Railway Series book would have to be Enterprising Engines. I really enjoy the diesel element being brought in, just the real world elements that you know that the future is coming and the engines they don't have an answer on how to solve it, but banding together they're going to show adversity in the face that they're willing to stand the test of time. It's a really fun story, and overall some of the greatest moments of the engines. My least favorite book might just have to be maybe a narrow gauge book. I've never been too fond of the narrow gauge characters. Me personally, I just prefer watching the standard gauge engines, so I don't really enjoy reading the narrow gauge books too much, but I still enjoy them. They're still well thought out, well put together. They're just not for me. What is your favorite Disney movie? My favorite Disney movie is the 2019 Aladdin movie. Have you ever seen Theodore Tugboat? I've seen 1 or 2 episodes of Theodore Tugboat when I was younger, but that's about it. I couldn't tell you any of the characters' names except Hank, I think, and Emily. Are those names? I think they are. But from what I've seen, it's really entertaining. I've seen some behind the scenes of it, and the sets and everything are huge. It's incredible. I mainly know it just because of Tugs. It's the one show that actually happened. How do you make your sets? I make my sets with buildings that I've made, foliage and stuff that you can buy at Hobby Lobby, the Woodland Scenic stuff. Just placing everything correctly in a way. It takes a lot of practice to understand where to put things, that way the camera can see it. It's kind of an art form in itself, like watching the Train Modeler or Enterprise Engine. Those sets are nuts. It's incredible. Absolutely stunning. Would you accept ideas for making Thomas and Friends episodes or movies if it will help you make your channel grow? I mean, I do appreciate people submitting story ideas, but I already have so many ideas of stories that I want to tell that it's kind of hard for me to put them all into a season, since I don't like making a season more than 24 episodes, with some exceptions such as season 3, which is currently sitting at 26 episodes being written. But mainly, I already have an idea of each season and how many seasons I'm going to do and the stories in them, but there is wiggle room for me to put 1 or 2 suggested stories. I do appreciate them, but not really. I kind of just want to use my own stories. Maybe once in a while take someone else's story, but yeah, I don't really need too many stories. If you had to be a Thomas and Friends character, what type of engine would you be, and what railway would you come from? I would more than likely want to be a medium-sized engine, such as a Mogul like James, or maybe a Donald and Douglas class of engine. And the railway I would want to come from is either the GWR or the LMS, just because those are the ones I'm most familiar with, and hanging out with maybe Arthur's class or Duck and Oliver's class, I think that would just be a blast. Which railway company is your favorite? LMS, GWR, GER, GNR, LSBCR, LNER, or LNWR? I had no idea there was that many companies. I'm not really an expert at any of them, but I would probably say either the GWR or the LMS, just because those are the ones I know the most from because of Thomas. Why do I make my videos? I make my videos mainly for people to have an emotional outlet to come and just escape from their world and enter into a world that may make a bit more sense in a way. After a personal tragedy, watching some people's series kind of helped me just escape the crazy world that I was having to adjust to, and just be in a world that I was familiar with and could be happy with and laugh with the characters, if that makes sense. Mainly I make it so people can have clean, safe content that they can come and enjoy and just escape life for a few minutes. What is my favorite episode for my series? My favorite episode would either have to be Percy Switcheroo or Rosie Goes Skating. Those two are my absolute favorites. How many paper faces for the engines do I have? Too many to count. Favorite range besides the diecast line? I enjoy the Wind Railway range or the Lockman range. I feel like those two are extremely well done and put together. I did collect some Trackmaster, but I never was a fan that the engines didn't have front couplings to couple up to the trucks, unless if you customized it, such as Trainboy 54, I think. Watching his series, he had his engines modified to have front couplings. So, yeah, Bachman and Wind Railway would have to be my favorite range overall. Do I plan to do remakes? Yes. After Season 2 is over and between production of Season 3, I plan on doing 1 or 2 remakes just to tide you all over. I actually have made a few remake scenes, such as in Soda Rewind Remake, I did a scene from A Bad Day for Harold and By George. So yeah, those are on the channel if you would like to get a clip of what we used to do back when we were practicing filmmaking. We did a few remakes of some scenes just to test some styles we wanted to do. Thoughts on Project Tiger Moth? I thought it was really well done and well put together. It really felt like something that David Minton and Britt Allcroft would create with using Toby, of course. And I love the connection with Toby's old line, just how it was discovered. I thought that was a really nice connection to Oliver's Fine. I didn't like the sets too much, mainly the nature sets. It felt like open space. I don't know, something just didn't seem right about it. But overall, I was very impressed, and I really would look forward to seeing more episodes made by them. Any new sets for Season 2? Oh, absolutely. A few sets that I'm going to name off right now is the coaling plant will be appearing, Kildane Station, a modified Knapford Station, and Duck's Branch Line will be appearing in the series, but I shan't say any more sets, or I shall spoil some of the stories. If I could, would I remake Season 1? If you mean my series, not really. I'm kind of happy with what I was able to do. I don't really want to go through and remake all those episodes. The only episode I would think about remaking is Percy's Seaside Trip, since that's also another one of my personal favorite stories. I feel like it's kind of a staple to the YouTube channel, since that's it's the episode that kind of really got things moving. The next episode was kind of more Murdoch the Banker. But if you mean the classic series, I don't really want to remake the Season 1 of Thomas, just because it's kind of easy and it's mainly the season that everyone else remakes, and I would personally want to try doing episodes that no one else has really done, such as Toby and the Flood. I don't really see too many remakes of Toby and the Flood, so I kind of want to remake episodes that no one really else has done yet. How long does it take you to film a set? Days or a few hours. Knapford Station for Season 2 took 4 days to film, and sets such as the church set or Wellsworth Castle took a few hours to film. Mainly it just depends on how many scenes and episodes are going to take place on the set, such as the coaling plant took just a day to film since it only had 2 episodes filmed on it. Mainly it matters how many episodes are being filmed on the set, because I also like to get as much out of the sets as I can, since it takes so many hours to put them together. It's just nice to get enough footage and everything that I need to, get it done. Get the season done without having to build a bunch of random nature sets or anything just to fill up a time slot. What was the hardest episode to film? Murdoch the Banker. Gordon's Hill was a nightmare. The engine's couplings would just not stick together. But I will say it is one of probably the most rewarding episodes, since it is currently the most viewed episode on our channel, only coming in second place to Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover. I feel like Murdoch the Banker did so well was because of the Gordon's Hill set, because we literally were, as I like to think, breaking the rules of what Taken Play is capable of pulling up an embankment. But you can see in our bloopers video that there are so many bloopers of engines just losing their trains because Taken Play was just not built to go up hills. It was mainly built for smooth track, but yeah, Murdoch the Banker was probably the hardest episode to film. Favorite and least favorite episode? I've already answered my favorite episodes from a series and the classic series in all eras, so I'm going to take this as a least favorite episode from either Thomas in general or my own personal series. My personal least favorite episode would either have to be Mrs. Kindly's Christmas or Past Reminders. I feel like there could have been more done with it. Magic is also up there just because I feel like it's kind of a boring episode with just one big moving scene in it, but I feel like Magic is an okay episode. It might be controversial since I literally just flat out said there's no such thing as magic, but let's digress from that. My least favorite episode from Thomas would probably be mainly the Hit era, the Miller era, maybe the Toby episode in Season 1, just because I don't like the idea that Toby worked on Sodor. I like it better, the idea that he worked in East Anglia. And just the fact that Toby's line is repeatedly said to be on Sodor affected the rest of the classic series and the series then after kind of annoys me just a bit, since I want the classic series to be canon to my series, but with some liberties because I prefer the Railway series to be the canon that my series follows. I probably need to do a whole video on what episodes are canon and what the canon is timeline-wise for my series, but yeah, those are kind of my least favorite episodes. Why in Forgotten Passengers did Gordon and Percy not have the capsule playroll faces on, but in some episodes before they do? Well, when season 1 was put into production, I did not actually own the sad face capsule playroll Percy face or the angry capsule playroll face for Gordon or the angry face for James. I didn't really own any of the capsule playroll faces at the time, so they had paper faces, but as the course of filming season 1 went, I was able to obtain some of the faces. And I was planning on introducing them in season 2 and just using the paper faces through for season 1. But the paper faces were falling apart so badly from being used so much that I decided to retire the paper faces early and just start using them on the engines immediately in season 1. So for example, whenever you see Tim the Sheds, the engines have their paper faces. But whenever you see sets such as Knapford Station, Gordon has his capsule playroll angry face because I filmed that set after I got the capsule playroll face for Gordon. So that's kind of how you can tell what set was filmed. One half would be the paper faces, the other half would be the capsule playroll faces. So that was mainly the reason why. I didn't really want to because I feared it might bug some people, and I'm sorry if it did. But the paper faces were literally falling apart so badly, I had to retire them. How in later episodes did you make the bright sun like in the beginning of A Fisherman's Tale? It's an effect you can use in Adobe Premiere Pro. It's in the effects panel. It's called lens flare. You just drag and drop it on your footage and it just creates this sun effect. It looks really good. I would highly recommend using it. Who will appear in season 2? There'll be a few characters, some of which I still need to find a voice actor for, but one of those characters is actually Dustin. Dustin will be appearing in the season. Boko will be getting a speaking appearance. Derek, and a few other newbies, but I shan't say any more or I shall spoil the whole season. Can I make a collection video? I actually debated making a collection video. You guys voted yes on the poll that I posted a while back after season 1 ended, but after a lot of thinking, I decided that I am going to push the collection video off a tiny bit since my collection isn't in one place, and since I'm still in the middle of filming season 2, I really don't want to get the engines mixed up. So my goal is when I finish filming season 2 over the summer of 2023, I'm hoping to film a collection video, and that would come out probably after season 2 is over. But yes, to answer your question, I do plan on making a collection video, but it's going to be some time. Why is it that I use Take-Along instead of Tomy or Wooden Railway? I use Take-Along because that's the engines I have the most of, and I just prefer their look. It's the engines that I grew up with, so I know them in and out. I have a lot of track, destinations. I don't really own too many of the characters in Wooden Railway, so mainly I use Take and Play because I have the biggest cast of characters I can use in my stories. How many customs have you made? A lot of the customs that we actually have are actually made by my brother. He's the one who made the Splatter and Dodge, a special Jack in the Pack member that'll be appearing in season 2. The Diesels, he designed them. I did some of the coloring, I designed the faces for some. But it's mainly my brother who makes pretty much all the custom engines. But we have 37702, aka Speed Demon, the 2 scrap Diesels, the black engine that appeared in Percy Switcheroo's flashback. I made that engine. Splatter and Dodge, and Bear. Those are some of the engines that we do have that we made customs for. But yeah, most of the credit goes to my brother. He's a phenomenal customization maker. He actually hand-painted all the little figures that appear in season 2. He's got a talent, let me tell you. I really look forward to seeing what more brilliant things he's going to come up with in the future. What is my favorite Thomas and Friends movie? Soldier's Legend of the Lost Treasure. It is the best Thomas movie, hands down. Only followed by The Great Discovery, since it's the Farewell to the Model series, and it just really hits differently when you find out about that. It's one big last hurrah. It's a wonderful send-off to classic Thomas and the models. Do I know the videos made by Thomas fans like Ramafool and Fan of Thomas 31? Yes, I do. I really give a chuckle at most of their videos. I really enjoy the Ask Thomas series that Ramafool did, and the Fan of Thomas 31's Seasons in a Nutshell. They're absolutely hilarious. I would highly recommend checking them out. Is Belko in your series? Yes, Belko is. He will be making a speaking appearance and getting his own role in future seasons to come. But he actually did appear in Season 1. You can see him pulling a train in Percy Switcheroo through Knapford Station, and you can see him resting in the Picnic Express as Bear passes by in the opening of it. Any episode ideas? Of course, Season 2 has a lot of new stories, and Season 3 is currently being written with even more new stories. So yes, I have plenty of episode ideas, but if you're meaning episode ideas that I would want to share, I have actually been thinking about writing some of the stories that I've made in my series and making them free to adapt, like the Barry Truck does with narration and the free-to-use stories. So I've been thinking about doing some of those to celebrate special anniversaries or special occasions, releasing some of the episodes that I made. So if I was to do that, please comment down below what episodes you would love to have permission to make, and I'd have an idea of where to start. What is your favorite Thomas episode from each era? My favorite episode from the classic era would have to either be Thomas Percy and the Post Train, James and the Trouble with Trees, All at Sea, or Peace and Quiet. I love those episodes. From the hit era, my favorite episode would have to be Respect for Gordon. For the Brenner era, hands down, my favorite episode is Last Train for Christmas. It is a cinematic wonder. Well, that wraps up this Q&A. Thank you for submitting your responses, and I hope I answered your questions in the most intelligent way possible. Sometimes I feel like I'm answering it, but it's not coming out clearly. So if I didn't answer your question clearly, I am absolutely sorry, and if you ask it down in the comments, I will try my best to try again and answer the question. But until then, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, this is the 1966 Kid, signing out.